All right, here we go. Game two. Oriana is one of the most discussed champions at Worlds because she's gotten multiple consecutive patches with buffs. So control mages are much stronger than they've been. That said, she was in a very weak point before that, so there's been some contestation about whether or not she's actually going to be good enough. Same thing with Cassante. Cassante being in the opposite direction was so strong, but got multiple nerfs. Is he still strong enough? And again, this is 1319 Cassante. This is before all of the major changes. And one of the champions that we think is going to have one of the biggest impacts and maybe the highest win rate. I'm sure this is a popular pick for highest win rate at Worlds. It's going to be Rumble. This champion is very strong, especially into tanks. There's not much that Cassante can do to stop Rumble from getting the big push here. This is a tremendously advantageous matchup for them. Also, they've got Maokai, and if you think how these ultimates synergize, what are they going to try to do? Maokai ultimate comes out with 5 tendrils. What is the way to answer that? Is to stack up in a line so that only one person gets rooted. How does Rumble interact with that? Well, you guys are in a nice line. I will bowl you all down with my ultimate. One of the champions that I like to see paired with Maokai, and especially with Rumble, this combination is Yone, which gives you split pushing threat and team grouping threat. I also like Yone into Oriana because you can kind of just get into her face, especially starting level 3. She is going to harass you a lot at the early levels with the low Q cooldown, but Yone can win that, especially with an early Wits End. Into a matchup like Sejuani and Oriana, he can feel pretty invincible into those matchups, and then you have that wonderful, just like exquisite, beautiful to watch when they all they try to tank up, they try to line up to dodge, and then Yone just lights them all up, Rumble lights them all up, and you basically can kill all 5 champions just like that. The best answer, if this does happen to you, is to actually split into 3, where you have 3 different people tanking the tendrils, hopefully all the tanks. You have like Nautilus, Sejuani, Cassante. They spread out, and then you have the carries behind them, so that you have to choose which carry am I going to go for. And if I do dive in for a wombo, for example, with Maokai and not Yone in this game, but if it were Yone, are we going to go in and let Xayah and Oriana deal massive AoE damage to? Ooh, did that minion just move to block? This is another advantageous early level 1 here. PSG letting them get the push. Aphelios notoriously weak at level 1. Never has the push, especially against a champion like Xayah or Jinx or Ezreal. But most likely they're just letting this happen because of Maokai pathing bot to top, right? The one option you have is to use all your resources to try to get a crash. But if you go for that and you don't succeed all the way and they're able to freeze with Sejuani pathing down to your side, you're basically checkmating yourself. So the much more common play is to allow... Oh, let's look at the engage. Oh, I don't like that decent... If you're Lions, you have to wait for the ignite there. You know your opponent has cleanse. You should be casting your Q. You should stutter your auto attack, wait, and then attack. All right, and the reason that you're doing that is to try to get them to blow cleanse. Most people are just going to reactively go cleanse flash as a combo. They're going to press both buttons so that they can flash away. Then you want your ignite to land, so that they're not also getting the value. That cleanse was so good because it actually erased the root from Nautilus and the ignite. But like we're saying, with the wave, the reason that they're letting it play into them, because Rakan, rather than trying to fight for that, they're just going to wait, then go, and then try to get their big rebound with a big crash. Now, Xayah and Nautilus are doing the opposite. They know that Sejuani's pathing top, so they want to crash and reset. They don't want to wait around and kind of be sitting in this spot where they're pushing bot while Maokai's on Krugs. Even with good wards, they don't necessarily need to do that. Now, that said, this is a little bit of a waste of warding, knowing that Sejuani was this side and assuming that Maokai was pathing top. You don't need to ward. You guys are on a recall timer. If you're trying to crash and push, you don't actually need this ward. And with Sejuani nearby, you didn't even need to be afraid of them coming in for an engage, especially not from a level 3 affiliate. We see the Rumble taking advantage of Cassante right here, going to have a wonderful lane state for himself. You see that the negative wave state, without drawing aggro, just using the Q to deal enough damage where if he wants to one-shot use his Q to kill the rest of the minions he can, but mostly he's aiming his damage at the Cassante, so he always needs to step back. Very difficult for Cassante to find any leverage, especially once you have this discrepancy in HP. This is despite an investment in Doran Shield and refillable. So we see not just how strong this matchup is in general, but also just, kind of noting that Cassante is not the same champion that he was. All right, it's still a strong champion. It's going to be present in pro. I expect it to have a negative win rate. It's going to be sub 50. It's going to be fine. They're going to pick it a lot. It's going to normalize based on the number of picks. But because Jax, Renekton are all stronger, Ken and Rumble are good, I think those champions are going to prevail. And you have the counter picks, Garen and Cho'Gath. We haven't even gotten into the complete counters that just completely hard counter the champion. All right, we've got a push. Jace pushed in mid. Are we going to get a dive here? Felio's stepping really far up. This has got to be a bait. Are they going to be able to actually consolidate this kill? Seo doing a good job kiting away. It means that they do get one back from themselves. Unfortunately, it's Nautilus that gets the kill, which means that they're going to miss out on the value of that trade. Jace did miss a wave crashing into turret, so they did pay that price. Orianna's going to have a little bit of an advantage in XP from that, but Jace was able to walk away with the assist. He's also going to get this wave in, which is kind of going to wash. It's a little bit later. You're going to get your shop second. You're going to be a little bit weaker on the shop relative to Orianna at just tempo on what's on the map right here. You see Orianna's already got this wave in. Now, as we approach this pivotal juncture, right, the 7-minute mark is basically when most pro game scripts end. 7 to 8 minutes is their preparation for Rift Herald and how they're going to start their rotation. 7-minute, important to know, is a cannon wave. You're going to be hitting level 7 as solo laners on this wave, and you're not going to be hitting level 6 until 8:30 as your bot lane. And then jungle is going to be there somewhere between 7 and 8:30, depending on how much they have to shadow their lanes and how much they path through mid. If you're interested in how that works, check out our video on the C9 Blabber special, and we'll show how they generate more experience for themselves by sharing, by pushing through mid, creating prio, and generating more experience for themselves. Okay, this is, 5 versus 6. All right, nope, perfect. They get this before level 6 timer. Xayah does not have an ultimate, so they're able to get this kill as well. Nautilus a little bit too close, so he doesn't get the full pull into the turret range, is not able to trade that back. This is a big problem for R7. PSG is going to get the push. Now it's also 8 minutes, which means they're going to be able to rotate their champions here. Jace will have teleport in about 90 seconds, it looks like. So they probably are going to swap Jace over into the bot lane, and they should bring at least Rakan Maokai over here. Another option, the one that's common in Korea, which means it's going to get copied worldwide, is that you send Aphelios back down to the bot lane, and you say, okay, my Aphelios is stronger than your Xayah, so if we stay here, this is good for Aphelios. Plus, I outscale, so I'm probably going to get the push. I'm probably also the one to get the plate if we stick to these lane assignments. Plus, we're going to have the stronger champions for the all-in with Jace at this level. And so that's what they're going for. I would have preferred to see it the other way, though. Have Jace come over. You see teleports coming up right now. So you could have come out. You don't necessarily create that exact same play, although you do have level 6 from Aphelios. He would be able to get that big splash ult with the chakrams. And then you'd have Jace versus Xayah, which is a crush, right? Like, that's a wipe. Xayah has to walk away from that sort of lane. And we already see that Rumble is crushing Cassante. Interesting path from Rakan. Could have been a little bit safer. Maybe was bluffing, going for a play, hoping they'd step back. Maybe just wanted to preserve the wave from getting into turret. We'll see if R7 turns prio into dragon. That's really their only counterplay right here. Enemy team just put a lot of effort into pushing out mid, and they're taking recalls, and they should be focused on Rift Herald. And if you know you're losing Rift Herald, the best answer you can get is some combination of plates and dragon. The bot lane. Rumble's going to use his prio from top to come over. They're going to take this fairly quickly. Rumble does deal a significant amount of damage. You see, by the way, this build early Sork Shoes. You're forcing the enemy team into mana resist right away. And Cassante actually went for Sheen. This is just wrong. Yep, this is wrong. You want, if anything, if you're going to go for armor into Rumble, you would want it to be Sunfire, because Sunfire will help you clear waves faster, and you can actually go in. Plus, it deals more damage to the champion. You are not going to be using Iceborne Gauntlet in combos here. I understand maybe wanting Iceborne for later in the game to be a little bit better at locking down Jace and Aphelios so that they're not as slippery, making sure that they're stuck to you, especially when you're in all-out range. But by going Sheen here, you just get obliterated in these trades. You've got nothing, right? Like, these Sheen hits are nothing compared to a Bomby Cinder taking that whole time. Nice little interaction there. K'Sante trading some HP back, able to get Rumble fairly low, which means that he should be able to clean up here. But because Jace is here, they should be able to get the kill. Nope, they get the flash. Very interesting flash right there. Myru actually didn't need to flash. The Q was predictive, but they flashed at an angle as it was passing, and they almost flashed into the damage. If they had gotten a hit, then they would have been closed on by flash Q. But well played by Bong here. This is what they love about this champion. It's just so solid. Kit's so strong. You want to come in, hey, look, I'll Q3 and ult you. But it's just not quite enough to get in. I wonder if... It looks like Rumble has a little bit of tenacity. Now, obviously, you can't be tenacious against knockups, but almost all of K'Sante's abilities have a mini stun attached to some kind of displacement. So you can actually get out of that stun for the displace. You can actually move slightly faster coming out of the displacement. Would be interesting to see their runes to see if they have that. That is going to be especially important now with the changes to K'Sante. The 1 1/4 second stun on his W. That is just such a massive and game-changing ability. Basically, his entire kit now revolves around landing that W. And if you can, you're going to have a good time. If you can't, your champion does nothing. And there's really no... I feel like there's no play with the champion now. It's just going to be, hey, I'm just, a bruiser-ish tank fighter, whatever it is. Maybe that's what they intended. They didn't want him to be a combo champion, which is too bad, because I think the population that likes playing him tends to like fighting games and tends to want to animation cancel and frame, be frame perfect and have hitboxes, and that was part of the joy of playing K'Sante, and they took that away. Too bad. Rumble 32 CS advantage. We've got a mid lead. Oriana's up. Sejuani's got a camp, but not significant leads anywhere besides in top lane, apart from the kill that Aphelios has in bot. Zaya's going to be playing a little bit far behind. We're going to see Aphelios finish first item here. Three minutes until Herald, 2 minutes until Dragon. What you're going to start seeing is blue team putting some vision on the eastern quadrant. All right, so eastern quadrant being right here, you want to start getting room for teleport wards for Rumble, right? You want to start figuring out where can we send a Rumble so that if a fight breaks out, he'll definitely be able to reach and get into the fight. It's very interesting here that Seo opted to use Cleanse, tank the ability and just Cleanse rather than using his ultimate. He also could have waited. If you're really on top of your game and you're playing super sharp, you can sit there, wait till they commit another ability to try to, or step forward just that little bit more, and then Cleanse and then walk away, right? You don't need to sit there and take it all necessarily. But also interesting that Cleanse is on a significantly longer timer than the ultimate. So the fact that Cleanse is down means that they're not going to have that for either of these next two fights. Whereas if you had used the ultimate there, it would be up for the fight. So I think that's just a mistake on Seo's part. We're starting to see a couple mistakes. Bong did have that big outplay in top lane. That was special to see. We saw Oriana get the big shockwave as well. But frankly, Rumble did not need to walk into that ability. He was in a perfectly good little alcove. And if he had stayed there, then it would have consolidated the kill for his team. Oriana would have had to commit to the alcove, which would have given Jace time to come over. So both of these teams are leaving something on the table. PSG definitely outplaying, as they should. There's more talent on this team in this region. But you know what I like? I like that we're seeing PSG again and again, and I like that we're seeing R7 again and again. I think R7, this is 6 consecutive appearances at international events. I want to say that they have 10 domestic titles overall. I'm not sure on those numbers, but I know it's way up there. We've seen a lot of Movistar R7, and it's cool to like see these guys coming back. You know, not all the players are the same, but you see them get a chance at more international play. That means the organization has more experience. Good cleanse there. Get out. I really like how Waco played that, where even after he cleansed, he still was jittering. So it's not clear which path he's going to take to get out of the radius of that effect. Waco, as we said in game one with the Ezreal dodges, is spot on, it seems like, with his clicks. You know, he is barely missing a frame or a pixel on those clicks, which is a really good sign from your AD carry player. You really want them to be able to maximize. Ooh, big chunk. As best case scenario for Jace when you can hit all three people. All right, so Rumble's level 11. I expect him to get a push and to come over. They would absolutely love to have a fight, including Gisante and Rumble, because he's much stronger. But he does want to shop first before he does that. Instead, opting to just... roam over to get a control ward. I guess he's feeling that the counterplay might come in from Sejuani trying to dive him. That's the only real reason to get that control ward out there. Does go into fog, which is enough presence for R7 to back off the dragon. They have no rights to this, especially with Xayah being as weak as they are. Orianna getting locked down. Ooh, very nice. All right, you see how Maokai did not use the W to gap close? Very important in that situation, because when you're Maokai and any champion that has the ability to drop turret aggro. See this trade. Good movement by Rakan. He's able to tank up the maximum. He blocks the Q. This is so good. Their bot lane, PSG's bot lane is playing fantastic. So talking about the turret dive, when you're the one who draws aggro, as you always will be when you are Maokai, right? You're throwing that ultimate out, you're going to hit them, you're going to take the aggro because you dealt damage to the champion. You can use Twisted Advance to drop aggro. You disappear off the map as you leech onto them. You go underground and you come back. He first walks up, auto Q to get the maximum, right? Important to get the auto when you can for the extra damage, and then you Q. Then when they're pushed out and with the turret shot coming onto you, that's the one that you dodge. If you use your W first, then you're going to have to step back, throw your Q, and now you're taking 3 turret shots, which might be enough for them to trade back. So that's the mechanical execution of the Maokai there. Very well done. I like that they're being proactive with these plays. They're putting the Radiant Virtue to use. This item is best in the early game. The stats are fantastic. The healing is fantastic. And basically any time that you cast this Maokai ultimate, you're going to be able to take these plays. And continue the dive because you know you're healing up so much. We'll see if we get something like Demonic Embrace second. It's usually the most common item. In matchups where you... Oh, that's interesting. In matchups where you expect to be in a full siege situation, sometimes you'll see Demonic Embrace come out first because they're saying, hey, we're not really looking to commit to anything. We've got Azir, we've got Ezreal, for example, sitting on the back lines of fights. You know, we could have Braum plus tank plus Maokai. And in those situations, they just don't need to do anything more than that, right? They can just sit back. They're just going to throw out saplings over and over and over. That said, there is an adaptation to the build. Most people are going to want to keep Radiant Virtue for the all-in. You see this right here. Q first, auto Q, then you back out, drop aggro, and they don't even... Look at that. He's full health. Very nicely done. Good dodge there. That was very important. Rumble ultimate could have been a little bit better if you kind of placed it to that wall, but no complaints. Now, how are they going to try to take the rest of this lead? You've got 30 seconds until Baron. They're absolutely the stronger team. Plus, you have Maokai Rumble. We already spoke about that synergy. We have Jace on an earlier spike than Orianna. Orianna going for Liandry's is going to be good into these tankier builds, but you're really missing out on some of the extra damage, especially since Sejuani and Gisante are on tank first items, and you haven't had your chance for your AD carry to go scaling. This is the sort of composition where normally you want Luden's Echo because you are the entire source of your team's damage, level 6 to 10, and really level 6 to 12 until your marksman gets 2 items. Once marksman has 2 items, then you can start thinking about them being as an actual big carry in the fights. But yeah, this itemization, again, we see it just very awkwardly defensive. And we saw, Bjergsen get ripped apart. Faker has even been ripped apart for this. All right, we'll stop for this engage. They don't get the priority targets. They, like we saw, that's the best case scenario for you if you're R7. You have a tank blocking for a carry, so it's not enough for Rumble to want to ultimate. Okay, it is pivotal that you create that sort of line. So good job, good adaptation by R7 going into that. But like I was saying, very awkwardly defensive itemization. This Orianna going for extra cooldowns rather than going for extra burst. The Liandry's is not particularly great against this team. There's no tank to be ripping through. Jace is full squish. Maokai is going to be on jungle income, even though he's building some tanky items. It's not going to be significant. Plus, you're just never in range against Maokai until he's choosing to use his ultimate anyways. And we have this Verdant coming out. So with the Banshee's Veil, you are giving up tons of damage. And most times you have Maokai that has 2 sources of CC diving on you, or Rakan that has 2 sources of CC. So even when you're blocking, you may not actually be blocking. Not only that, but Maokai's Saplings is one of the best abilities in the game against Banshee's Veil, because you're just constantly throwing it out and harassing. And as Orianna, you don't want to be thinking about how much of those to be diving, how much you have to, dodge, not dive. How many saplings you have to dive. You want to be thinking about exactly where your ball is, whether or not you can synergize with Cassante or Sejuani diving in, or Nautilus. Compositionally speaking, as we start getting into the mid game, 22 minutes in, we're going to see 2 items collapsing, so it's good to take a note of what the team shape is. Orianna is going to want the ball delivery coming from Nautilus or Sejuani. Cassante can be a little bit risky because of the dropping off the map during his ultimate. Also, the fact that he goes so far sometimes. So he's not the most reliable use of the ball delivery. Although if he all-outs to bring someone into your team, then it is a fantastic time. The E does have the longest range out of all of Orianna's abilities, so she can look for that. But most times she's going to look to follow up on a Sejuani ultimate being cast, and then going for it. We'll see if she gets an opportunity right here. Shield is coming out. Shockwave preemptive, but it does not peel the Jace back. Too much left on the table. This teleport's... yeah, I'm just going to have to walk away. They do have 3 champions here. They could look to collapse. It looks like Xayah's recalling, so they're not going to go for it. Do I wish they had done more? No. Because you have Rumble coming in over here. Rumble, Rakan are going to start securing vision in the North Quadrant. You basically can't ever go into any of these choke points because Rakan can hold you down long enough, and Rumble will get that ultimate, basically one-shotting anyone in here, even Sejuani. Sejuani would be the tankiest of all of them. I really don't like this Iceborne Gauntlet. Normally you see Jackshaw into AP top laners, so you have a more relevant stat profile. I do get it, like you want to just find Aphelios, lock him out, and keep him, itemized to just beat him. Also, you ensure to keep slows in your kits. Dodges. You're keeping CC in your kit even when you go all out. So, it makes sense. But Jackshaw is also a wonderfully synergistic item. Big spike here for Rumble. Everyone's on 2 items here. Rumble's on Night Harvester Demonic. This is probably his strongest point in the game. That ultimate basically taps you and puts you at 60% health. This is a tough world to live in. There's not enough control of the vision. You see how PSG is using their Jace. They're pushing up the wave. They're controlling the vision on the sides and allowing him to get the best pokes in. Rakan with a well-timed ultimate. They should get one more tap on that turret. They do. Orianna ultimate used and whiffed. Only getting, I believe it touched Rakan, and that was it. And this is not just a wallet flex. This is a player comfort flex. You see how confidently Waco is playing. This is going to be This is a good sign for PSG and their chances for the rest of the tournament. When your AD carry is just like that tuned in, people are dialed in. Notice how they're not fighting for this ward, right? Do not hit these dead wards. They're already turned off. By hitting them, you'd be turning on the vision, and they would actually gain vision of the Baron HP. This is the only one that you need to care about, and that's only sometimes, right? Sometimes you're better off just saying, okay, I dare you to come into me. We're going to use our lead, force you to come to us, and then try to take the fight that we want. R7 actually plays this very well, taking the most amount of attention away from the Baron. Nautilus engaging against Rumble. Rumble's really far up here. And he just went... Okay. A little bit of a mistake there by Aji. Going into overheated mode, rest of the team could not follow up. Maybe a lack of communication. They might be talking about, hey, I'm good or strong, I've got a good flanking spot. But his ultimate's not up, Rakan's not up, Maokai wasn't up. So they did not have the strength coming out. And they should not be going for Baron here. You have to wait. You have to let yourself shop here. Let yourself get the reset. Let Rumble come back up. You'll come back into position with the ultimates and you'll be okay. Let's take a look at this. Junja using his ultimate right away. Rumble using his ult right away is a little bit bizarre. Would have preferred to see exactly who's getting rooted up. And then once the roots are connecting it, kind of cross your T from that position. Nice job by Lions getting this lock up. Yeah, okay, nice. Just punishing the over position. Aji should not have been here. There's no ifs and or buts about it. He does not have the tools to be there. He has a Night Harvester. He's looking to maybe get a poke of harass and then proc Night Harvester and then step out, but it may have even been on cooldown there. Dragons in 24 seconds. Expect to see a teleport ward come out. Blue team is stronger. They've got the gold lead and they have the comp lead. So they're going to look to push out mid. They want to keep vision here. They want to keep a control ward in this bush. And then they want to take over this area. Once they take over this area, then they'll go in and get the rest of the vision. Rainbow 7 deciding that, hey, we can fight for this right now. But they're going to walk right into the Rumble. Rumble gets the... big equalizer out, paying along this. Again, I get tons of AoE damage, and they take it. You see what R7 was trying to do, right? They fought for this. They say, all right, we have a slight prio lead. We can actually fight you if you decide to come in here. But the wallet lead is too big, so PSG just fights with their wallets. They're going over for Baron. This is the correct play. You want to get the strongest objective on the map. There is a world where you could say, hey, we won this by so much that we can take Dragon and then go for Baron. But frankly, anytime you ever give up D2, you're not really giving up anything. All right, the advantage that you have from Baron is enough to end. We saw how strong they were last game. It's always enough to get an inhibitor broken in one lane, plus a full siege into the adjacent lane. And we'll see how they go. Last time, they were very clean. Let's look at this. They try to find the engage. Rakan with a beautiful counter engage. Again, this Rumble I don't like. Aji has been the weakest link. Apart from a dominant lane phase, which he had, these ultimates have been a little bit of a stretch. You'd like to have it synergize with Rakan bundling people up and where you expect pathing to go. That said, whenever you split a team up like this, it does have a lingering effect where it forces them to move away from each other. And that accordion effect can allow for good team fight positioning. So I don't mind this so much. The problem is like, hey, look how far away these carries are. If they come in and, for example, if they had the awareness to see Aji's ultimate's down and he's flanking, we could just like pounce on him right now. There might be counterplay. But because they're in full retreat mode, you end up getting Rumble just dealing all the damage. Cassante using all out just to get space. Good answer by R7, realizing very quickly that enemy team is going to Baron, so they step up and they take the Dragon. They do get something for themselves. It also takes that off the map. So you're not going to be forked 5 minutes from now with a dead inhibitor, a super pushing in. This ultimate I like. Again, though, it could have been a little bit more diagonal. Everything's been, the ults have just been a little bit loose. That's something that we can look to improve upon, especially when you have this high synergy team where you have Abyssal Mask from Maokai stepping up, 2 Radiant Virtues from Engage Ultimate Champions. Like, they're going to go in and they're going to be able to stick into the best spot. All right, R7 putting it all on the line. They're going to staple their nuts to the table and see if they've got it. But Rakan with a beautiful RW, using his flash. Oh, we have a counter engage. Beautiful. This is why you buy stopwatch, everybody, so that there's no counterplay. They use all their resources trying to get onto Jace. They forgot to press tab. They don't realize that he's got the free way out, which means that Aphelios is going to Gale Force in, clean up, and PSG is going to win this game. Very well played. You know, very small adjustments that can be made, very easy coaching points for the Rumble Ultimate. They've been very good. They've been manipulating their waves. The bot lane is like on point, right? These clicks are crisp. See right here, a little technique. You go up, tank a turret shot. When you're pushing in and you're not sure if you have enough minions to end the game, you absolutely want to go in. If you have shields available, you just step up, tank 2 turret shots with your shield. That will keep your minions alive for a little bit longer. And there they go. Easy end. PSG looks strong.